right, we're going to go through and talk about several different things on graphing functions. We're going to review that, and then we're going to talk about tangent lines and go through how to just other things. So graphing and tangent lines today. All right, first off, the first one we're going to have is here's an example of a question that a lot of times you'll see on how to understand how to graph different functions. So what we have is we have a function graph of f prime. Now, if you look up here, here's f prime. So this graph is f prime. Now, when you think about f prime, we are asked to sketch a graph of f and also f double prime. So first off, when we graph this, if we want to graph f first, we have to start thinking about how is f related to f prime. Well, f prime are the slopes of function f. Okay, so all these are the slopes of function f. So when we look at this, we have these values for f prime, that's what this is. That means that these values, when f prime, in this case, is a constant of 2, that means that this is the slopes of f. All right, so the slopes of f. All right, I'll put that right there. Slopes of f. This function f. So when we graph that, if we have a constant slope of 2, that means that when we graph this at -1 going to negative infinity, we're going to have a slope of 2. All right, so actually this is going to be a line. So when we have this, we could have, well, you see it's undefined here. So my guess it's either corner, cusp, or discontinuity. Well, I'll make it just an open circle here at -1. You can start this wherever you want. I'm just going to start at 0 because it seems easy. And I'm going to make a slope of 2. So rise and run of 2. And we have this. So we pick the dots. Here we have. Okay? So if I have this one right here, over 1, up 2, 1, 2, and that would be our slope. Okay? So this is f. All right? In green, we are graphing f. So this function f has a slope of 2. Now from here, we look at this next section of the graph, and you notice that, okay, f prime, there are a bunch of values, but they are positive. So f prime is positive. Up here, f prime is negative. So what does that mean? Well, when f prime is negative, that means that f is decreasing on this interval. And when f is positive, that means that f is increasing on this interval. So that means when we graph this, we're going to have, starting at, whatever this one is, I'm going to say they're connected. We're going to have a function that's decreasing up to 0. You want to see over here, have a critical point. So it's going to 0, like this. And then we're coming up to 1, and it's going to be increasing onto that point right there. I'm going to connect this, and if you notice that I'm thinking this is probably going to be a corner of some sort. We have two different values, and that's what we have right there. Okay, now the next part is, if you look at right there, we have f prime, and it appears that this is equal to 2 again. F prime is equal to 2. So that means the slopes, all right, so this right here is the slopes of f are 2, okay? So from 1 to infinity, all the slopes are 2. So when I graph this, all right, we have a point here. And notice how I just went, all right, over 1, up 2, 1, 2. When I graph that, passing through here, and that is my f. So this is my function f. So we have a slope of 2, right there. We are decreasing, coming to this little min. And then we're going to increase, and then we're going to go have a slope of 2, all right, like so. And that's our function f. Now, we're going to take this, and now we're going to find f prime. I'm going to graph f prime. I'm going to copy that. I'll move it to another slide. Okay? And what we're going to do is now, I'm going to take the same graph. All right, we just had f prime. And now I'm going to have f double prime. To find f double prime, well, f double prime, how is that with respect to f prime? Well, f double prime is the derivative of f prime. So f double prime are the slopes of f prime. Okay, are the slopes of f prime. That's what we're given. It's also f double prime is the concavity. It tells you the concavity of f. All right, but we really don't care about that right now. All I really care about is knowing the the slopes of f prime are, because we want to graph f double prime. That's what we have to do. So right here, when I look at this, well, what are the slopes of this? Well, f double prime, it appears the slopes are going to be 0. Correct? It's going to be 0 because this is a constant, so we have a slope of 0. So starting here, open circle because it's discontinuity, we have a slope of 0. So I'm just going to graph this 0. F prime is 0. I'm going to change that so you don't confuse. So f prime is 0. All the slopes are 0. So this is f double prime graph in blue. The next one, if you see, we can have this slope. Well, notice this is another constant line. And we look at this, we can see that a slope is, rise and run, of 2. So we have a slope of 2. So f double prime equals 2. So we're going to go up to 2 here. We'll open circle because, once again, discontinuity. And then we have a corner here. So give me an open circle. We're going to have a constant of 2. So we just have constant lines all the time. It's in blue. Then we go over here, and we notice that f double prime, the slopes of f prime are 0 again because it's constant. So we go down here, and now we have our other slope, which is 0. So this is what this graph is, and I'll make it in red so you can see a little better. Right here, 0, 2 is my constant slope, and then 0 again, and that's the slope of f double prime. So that's what we got. If we take this and then make a dual page, we can see in our first graph over here, when we graphed f, we saw that f prime told us one thing. When we graphed it over here on this page, right here, we graphed f double prime by looking at the slopes. Okay, and that's what you're going to be asked to do, all right, is compare the graphs of f prime and create graphs of f and f double prime, so you have to know how to go back and forth, translating what you know about these. Okay. So that's our first graph in our first tutorial on how to graph with f prime. And we'll have our next videos are going to be on linearization.